Did I put the clothes in the dryer? I hope they don't think I was serious.
I need to be awake.
Snacks.
I forgot my brain shut
Just
off.
sleep already.
When your racing thoughts keep you up at night, it's tough to let go and get the rest you need. Better sleep can help. You might have heard of white or brown noise, but there's a whole rainbow of color noises, and they can help you calm your mind, reduce stress, and sleep better, like the green noise you're listening to now. With the Better Sleep app, you can discover more color noises and over 200 soothing sounds, guided meditations, and bedtime stories. High-quality rest is vital to your mental well-being and physical health. Calm your restless mind, conquer your day, and sleep better at night. Download Better Sleep from the App Store or Google Play and start a 7-day trial today. Because when you sleep better, you feel better.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Good morning, friendly hello. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you as we're going to be joined in segment number 2, which is a few minutes because we have a very short recap today with one of our good friends, Chris Cichon, who does such great work over at WBAL in Baltimore. We're going to be chatting with him about the American League playoff race, the final week of the regular season for the Orioles. I know that they are eliminated from the playoffs, but we're also going to be talking about why these teams are still very prideful and why they're still going to show you a lot of fight even when they're knocked out of the playoffs. Can they play a little bit of spoiler against the Yankees this upcoming week, and just what to make out of the picture in general? So we're going to have some fun there in the final segment. Going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Tuesday as we touch them all. If you do have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one or two ways we all fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, Larry CM, the name does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. While I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today, everything is powered by EdgeBoost. EdgeBoost is making sure that bettors are able to have access to their funds whenever and wherever they want. With EdgeBoost, 100% of gambling transactions do get approved, and when you go to edgeboost.bet, utilize that promo code of Greg, G-R-E-G. That's going to get you a dollar for dollar match on your first deposit up to $25. Now let's take a look back at the 3 games that we saw in Major League Baseball on Monday. Try to find some trends and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
It was undoubtedly an overwhelming day in baseball as we had no unders, and it got started with the Atlanta Braves absolutely taking it to the Washington Nationals by a count of 11-5. Mackenzie Gore gets scored in this one. He gives up 4 runs over the course of 2 innings, including a home run to Ronald Acuna Jr., his 19th home run season, and for the Braves, they score 11 runs despite leaving 13 men on base, as from there, Jackson Rutledge gives up 3 runs in a third of an inning. Connor Pilkington, 2/3 of an inning scoreless. Seminra Lau, hopefully I said that correct, he gives up a run in 1 2/3 innings of work. PJ Poulin, well, he pulled together 3 runs allowed in an inning, and Shunkuski Ogasaro, 2 1/3 innings scoreless. Meanwhile, Chris Sale, he did sell a little bit in this one. He gives up 5 runs over the course of 5 innings, including a pair of home runs. Jacob Cruz, his 10th home run of the campaign, and he had a home run number 4 of the season for Nasim Nunez, I believe his 2nd home run in the last 3 days. From there, Hunter Stanton, the scoreless inning, and Jose Suarez was able to polish off 3 scoreless innings for the St. Louis Cardinals. They get the job done against the Giants, this by a count of 6-5, as for Justin Verlander, he takes yet another loss. This time he actually didn't perform very well. 6 runs, 4 of which were earned, given up in 4 1/3 innings, including a home run as Von Herrera gets his 18th home run season. Tristan Beck from there, 2 2/3 innings scoreless. Matt Gage, Yoel Piguero both lend a scoreless inning, and on the flip side, Michael McGreevy, he gets lit up as well. Gets the win despite giving up 5 runs over the course of 5 innings, including a pair of bombs. Rafael Devers' 33rd home run season, and Eloy Ramos his 19th, but bullpen from there does their part. John King was the king, along with Ryan Fernandez, of being able to pull together 2 scoreless innings. Kyle Leahy, Jojo Romero, they were both able to turn a scoreless inning, and then the Padres polished up the night by being able to get a 5-4 win in 11 innings over the Milwaukee Brewers. For the Brew Crew, Freddie Peralta does allow a home run, 2 runs in total over the course of his 5 innings, going deep for his slam. Diego Jose Iglesias, his 2nd home run of the season. Nick Pivetta, a little bit of a rough start from 5 walks, 3 runs allowed in 5 2/3 innings. From there, the bullpen was very rock solid, though. Ron Marinaccio, 8 scoreless inning. Kyle Hart, and out of the bullpen squirrels, Jeremiah Estrada, Robert Suarez, both turned a scoreless inning. Andrea Morejon gives up an unearned run in the 10th inning, but he had a scoreless 11th inning with the bases being stranded loaded by Brad Dougley Rodriguez. Hopefully I said that correct. And then for the Brewers, bullpen was pretty solid for them as well. Nick Mears does give up a run in an inning, but Jared Koenig, Abner Uribe, Aaron Ashby lend a scoreless inning. Rob Zanoski gives up an unearned run in the 10th inning, and then Grant Anderson, he gives up the game-winning single to Freddie Fermin, unearned run in the 11th. And if you're looking trend-wise at what we're getting in Major League Baseball right now, overall it has been an underwhelming season, with the under hitting at a clip of about 51.1%, 1,094 overs, so 1,143 unders. Meanwhile, moneyline favorites at about 56.5%, 1,305 and 1,006 on the money line. If you look at the last 7 days in baseball, this is excluding the Padres versus Brewers final, as that game went a little bit long. 48 and 40 for money line favorites, hitting at about 54.5%, with the over 8 hitting at about 47.5%, not including that Brewers game. 40 overs to 44 unders, with quite a few pushes along the way. And if you look at the last 30 days of Major League Baseball, rough go of it for money line favorites, hitting at just 54.4% to 12 and 178 on the money line. Meanwhile, the under 8 right around about 50.5%, 189 overs to 193 under. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's what we all got on Monday. Coming up next, how about if we do take a look at what we're getting in terms of the American League playoff picture, the Baltimore Orioles, and so much more with Chris Cichon, who does such great work over at WBAL in Baltimore. On the flip side, here on the Baseball Betting Show, myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the Beast Family Podcast.
Did I put the clothes in the dryer? I hope they don't think I was serious.
I need to be
about
awake
snacks.
till
I forgot my
hours.
brain shut just
Off.
sleep already.
When your racing thoughts keep you up at night, it's tough to let go and get the rest you need. Better sleep can help. You might have heard of white or brown noise. There's a whole rainbow of color noises, and they can help you calm your mind, reduce stress, and sleep better, like the green noise you're listening to now. With the Better Sleep app, you can discover more color noises and over 200 soothing sounds, guided meditations, and bedtime stories. High-quality rest is vital to your mental well-being and physical health. Calm your restless mind, conquer your day, and sleep better at night. Download Better Sleep from the App Store or Google Play and start a 7-day trial today. Because when you sleep better, you feel better.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by this man, as we've got Chris Cichon aboard. He does such great work over at WBAL in Baltimore. He is their 5-2 player over there. You need him to cover the Baltimore Ravens and the Baltimore Orioles, he's got you. You need him to cover all the news happenings out there in Charm City. He's got you covered there as well. He does such a great job on so many fronts, and I know he does a great job in terms of following hockey as well. You're able to follow him on the old Twitter/X at the Big Cheese Show. That is CHEE on Chi before show. And Chris, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Greg, always appreciate you having me. And yes, definitely have covered a lot in my year and a half with WBAL. Very fortunate to be working with them. The Ravens, a team that there are playoff and Super Bowl aspirations, but going to the game Sunday where they played the Yankees. Granted, they lost in extra innings, but there is a feeling of optimism with the Orioles, considering all of the young pitchers and hitters that if they really come to fruition and bloom. It's just a tough division for the Orioles, but yeah, it could be a nice year next year. So vibes are still high in Baltimore, even though the Orioles aren't making the playoffs.
And I'm so glad that you mentioned that as well, because everyone's looking at the playoff teams, and I feel like when it comes to any sport, this is not just baseball, but it's the NBA, it's the NFL, what have you. When a team gets knocked out of the playoffs, they think, oh, all these guys are just going to give up on the season, feel sorry about themselves. And we both know a little bit better in that, hey, when these guys are knocked out of the playoffs, they're still fighting for their contracts. They're still fighting to be able to get opportunities in future years. And how much of that do you think lingers on over to the Baltimore Orioles? Because we're seeing a lot of these young guys audition, and I feel like this is a very important week for some of these guys like Basallo, some of these guys like Dylan Beavers to be able to secure roster spots and secure some playing time for next season.
Yeah, Basayo hitting that home run into the outfield. My daughter and I were right there as it went on to Utah Street. Wasn't able to get the baseball. There was like a professional baseball catcher, it appeared to be out there because he was trying to get Aaron Judge's 50th. Yeah, it was a well-hit ball. He's a guy that this team very excited about. And Adley Rutschman coming back off the injured list. We're going to see what he's about this next week, or, against the Rays and then the Yankees once again. It doesn't mean anything in terms of the playoff picture, but you just said it. Recency bias, what have you done for me lately? Those are the things that are going to linger with Michael. Of course, you take into the 162 games that go on with the 2025 season, but, you're taking on two division opponents this week, the Rays and the Yankees. The Rays not going totally quietly into the, end of the season here. We saw them put up a nice effort on Sunday against the Boston Red Sox in a victory there where Joe Boyle was a strong pitcher there. And, they have players like Yandy Diaz who are trying to strive for hitting 300. So you're going to get the best effort from these Yankees and Rays teams. And so, yeah, this is a big series for, I would say, players like Gunnar Henderson, who the guy gets on base still. He's nearly at the 350 clip, but you would have hoped to have seen more power out of him this season, a little bit more home runs. I mean, Jackson Holliday coming in with the home run lead with this team would have been, he told me that to start the season, very unexpected. So that's a guy that, everybody is immensely excited about. A guy like Kobe Mayo, hitting 208 coming into Monday is not going to win you a lot of starts over there at first base, especially with Ryan Mountcastle, who he had a nice little series against the Yankees. I know they lost 3 of 4 there, but he had a big night in their win when Trevor Rogers was really strong. And we'll see Rogers pitch again against the Yankees. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys. It's really, I watched Kyle Bradish pitching, and he had some nasty stuff going, the sliders and the curves and all that. The pitching, we may know what we've got going into next year. We know that the bullpen certainly needs some upgrading outside of Keegan Aiken. I mean, when they went to the bullpen against the Yankees in that series finale, it was just a matter of time before they were going to implode, and they certainly did do that. It was a 1-1 game that went into the 10th inning. But, yeah, I think fringe guys like Jeremiah Jackson, that's a player that, is he going to be with AAA Norfolk next year? Is he going to get some starts? Things of that sort. Dylan Beavers, I think they're going to want him to be a part of this team because I can't imagine Dylan Carlson. I mean, maybe they were, or Tyler O'Neill at this point being a part of their plans next year. So I would imagine Beavers is going to get there into right field. You pair that with Colton Cowser, and you've got a nice little mix up there as far as center field isn't totally shored up yet. You need, I think, a good starting pitcher for next season. A Zach Gallen. I don't know that he would sign in Baltimore, and then I think one more bat, because even though they've got the potential, they don't have enough power. And we know hitting home runs certainly helps. And they moved back the outfield there at Camden Yards, moved it back in a little bit now. So they just need to potentially acquire another big-time bat. Guys to get healthy, too, because Jordan Westburg can provide the power, as can Gunnar Henderson. They lost guys like Ramon Arias and Ramon Laureano, who were providing some of that. And I think they can get some guys like that on the free agency market next year. But yeah, it's really about the young guys. And if any of these guys like Dietrich Enns think that they have any shot at making the team next year, they need to not get walloped in relief duty.
Yep, absolutely. That has been the biggest thing with the Baltimore Orioles. The guys like Grant Wolfram and company, Grant Wolfram, not necessarily been so great for the Baltimore Orioles here down the stretch, as we do have a man that has been great out there in Baltimore, Chris Cichon, joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And certainly that last series of the season is going to be interesting because based on what the New York Yankees do here in the next few days, they may or may not have a chance to play. Spoiler now, for the Yankees are going to be facing off against the Chicago White Sox here in the next few days prior to them playing against the Orioles. But how do you take a look at this American League playoff picture where everything is still very wide open in the American League East, with the Blue Jays being the team that has been leading for much of the way, but they've had their ups and downs. The Boston Red Sox have been very streaky as well. The Yankees have had their ups and downs, and all of a sudden things are getting very, very interesting with that picture.
It's awesome. I mean, I love the situation that we've got going on in the American League because the National League, I think the last time I came on your show, you kind of convinced me that the Los Angeles Dodgers are the front runner and should be the front runner based on how good their pitching staff's been of lately and how good their bats are. But the American League, it certainly is more so up in the air. Who can emerge from this? You know, you had a nice GIF on Sunday talking about, or maybe you were just criticizing the Astros in general. But yeah, after they didn't have Jeremy Pena go and start, they went down 7-0. It was tough sledding for that team, no doubt about it, the Astros. And I'm not all that sure if they make the playoffs that they have the horsepower to be able to get through. I mean, they've dealt with injuries as well. Alex Bregman, a guy on the Red Sox. I mean, if Boston makes the playoffs, and I believe, they look like they're going to be able to make it as the time we are chatting. They have Alex Bregman. That was a great acquisition. I was listening to the game Sunday night. It seemed like he was on base pretty much every time, even though Joe Boyle was striking almost all of these Red Sox hitters out. But yeah, and that's a problem with the Red Sox quite a bit. I mean, Story's going to strike out for you. Jaron Duran's going to strike out. Guys like Cedar Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu, they're strong pieces, and Alex Cora, one of the best managers in the game, and their pitching staff's a little bit maybe shakier because you got Giolito and Crochet at the top there. What are we really going to see from the bottom there? But the Yankees are a team that just watching them play against the Orioles in town here, their bullpen was solid for them. And guys like Ben Rice can certainly deliver. And Austin Wells, even though he might not have the average, he can deliver the power. Austin Wells broke up Trevor Rogers' no-hitter on Friday. That was something to behold. Trevor Rogers in the dream season he's had, we were kind of hoping here in town that we might be able to see some Orioles magic that night. But that's what I'm saying. Austin Wells delivered. Aaron Judge, we've seen what a great season he's had. So, yeah, the Yankees right now, I would say, if we're having this conversation, thinking about who are the best teams in the American League, having just watched them in person, yeah, to me, they're the best. If there's going to be a second team that emerges in the American League, I've talked about Seattle. I like them quite a bit with Logan Gilbert at the top of that rotation there and some of the hitters that they've got in their lineup top to bottom and the acquisitions that they've got too. So, yeah, I think they can be a challenger. I just spoke kind of glowingly about Boston. I think if they make it in, they can, do a little damage because I kind of do feel like they have all the pieces. And then on top of that, the best bullpen basically in the game with Aroldis Chapman behind that one. So, yeah, Boston's going to be a formidable team. And the Yankees bullpen's good, too. You got to have a good bullpen. The Orioles bullpen cost them so many games this year. You just got to have a good one going into the postseason. We see that, and I know I've referenced this game on the show with you before, but the Toronto-Seattle, the 18 game, it was like no scores until finally someone broke through in the 18th inning. I mean, these are how some of these games might go in the postseason. Elite pitching, and you need to have some depth when it comes to the bullpen.
No question about it. And I think that leads into something else very interesting with the American League picture as well. The fact that things are very wide open for that final wild card spot right now, and things are very wide open with regards to the AL Central as well. The Tigers, it seemed like it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to run and hide with the AL Central. Massive series this week coming up with the Guardians. What do you make out of that ordeal? Because with the Guardians, they have no offense whatsoever, but the pitching has really been able to come on strong. You just mentioned bullpen pitching. They're right there. And for the Tigers, they've got Nathan Tariq-Skubal, but it feels like everyone not named Tariq-Skubal has just went down the toilet bowl here in the last few weeks.
And with the Guardians, they can roll out guys like Joey Cantillo and guys that they've had in their system like Gavin Williams, Logan Allen, and they have been getting it done. I mean, this is obviously an organization that top to bottom knows how to develop their pitching, and they've done a good job with that. You hit the nail on the head. They don't hit very well. They're certainly going to need, guys like Stephen Kwan to get on base and Jose Ramirez to generate some power. Other than that, it's going to be maybe some tough sledding for them offensively. You're talking about a Detroit Tigers team. I mean, part of me, you think about it and you look at them and you say, are we totally surprised? I mean, you said it, Tariq Skubal, top of that rotation, outstanding AL Cy Young candidate. Outside of that, I'm acquiring Charlie Morton. I know he went on a little nice run here in Baltimore during the summertime, but if he was going to be a key piece to your rotation going down the stretch, I know you wanted that veteran presence, a guy who's been in the postseason. I get all that, but he couldn't have been a fifth starter for you at this point. He doesn't have it anymore. I mean, they'll go an entirety of a season. So yeah, this is a team, I would say, with the Tigers. They certainly have power. Spencer Torkelson can hit the baseball far, and but they just strike out quite a bit too much, and that's going to plague them if they get into a situation with a team with a really strong, going back to it, every team that's going to be getting into the postseason here has a really strong bullpen. But yeah, I look at this Tigers hitters, who can really emerge, who can kind of deliver. Riley Green, he's another one, but his walk rate is less than 7%. I mean, that's just not going to get it done for you. Not enough guys getting on base. When Gleyber Torres is leading in terms of your walk rate, that's not going to be good for. I understand, too, that they just ran into an Atlanta Braves team and got swept by them. In Atlanta, kind of similar to Baltimore, just a lot of tough losses in the beginning of the season, a lot of not great play from the infielders that you might typically see that would be better. They let go of Brandon Hyde and have seemingly played a little bit better under Tony Mansolino. I know 12-7, because coming into Saturday, they were 12-5 in the month of September. They will enter Tuesday 12-7 in the month of September. I mean, hey, for a sub-500 team, you'll take that. They're still playing tough baseball. If we're going back to the conversation about the AL Central, yeah, the Tigers, to me, just don't, I think, have enough scary guys in the middle of that lineup. Torkelson, again, as I mentioned he can strike out quite a bit too. They don't have anybody like a Stephen Kwan who's approaching the on-base percentage numbers that he has eclipsed throughout the course of his career. What they have working for them, Will Vest back of that bullpen for them there. They acquired Kyle Finnegan too. That's going to help them out. It's just getting to that bullpen might be a struggle for them in certain games. When you're in the playoffs, it's do or die in a lot of these. So we'll see how they roll out their rotation when it goes into the postseason.
Yep, we certainly will. There's going to be a lot of intrigue and a lot of fun on that front end. I do want to get your thoughts here as well. A team that we haven't really talked a lot about, and that would be the Seattle Mariners, who they are coming off of that massive sweep over the Houston Astros. They're such an interesting team out there in the American League because they have a lot of home run boppers in one of the most pitcher-friendly ballparks in all of baseball, but somehow, some way, it feels like everything is just working so well for a Mariners team that we've seen them time and time again in late September have sort of collapses, be there late and not be able to come through. I'm not sure how you view this, but it feels like it's a little bit different this year with the Astros not having as much firepower, and the Seattle Mariners, it looked like they just, for lack of a better term, were able to exercise some demons over the weekend by being able to take down the Astros.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And this is a team that's going to want to try to win with their pitching, but they can hit the baseball hard. I mean, they have a hard hit rate as a team that's in the top 12. So although they are going to be trying to run maybe with some bottom of the order guys like a JP Crawford, you're certainly going to have your middle of the order guys like a Randy Arozarena, Josh Naylor, who they acquired. And, look at it. It's amazing what we've seen out of the Arizona Diamondbacks, a team that let Josh Naylor or traded Josh Naylor to Seattle and are probably not going to make the playoffs, but it's going to be a fun run down the stretch. But yeah, Cal Raleigh, Polanco, Naylor, Julio Rodriguez, Suarez, Eugenio Suarez back in Seattle. Yeah, I mean, this is a formidable lineup here that can certainly deliver some power and also have been getting on base at a pretty decent clip. Cal Raleigh's at a 360. I mean, how much better can you really expect out of a catcher who's, the home run leader in the American League? So, yeah, and I mentioned JP Crawford, Randy Arozarena. Those are guys, too. Randy Arozarena has the postseason experience getting to the 2020 World Series with Tampa Bay. I know it was vastly different, not same stadium experience and all of that, but the preparation I would imagine would go the same. Knowing Randy's nature too, maybe he helps kind of relax the atmosphere for a team that is going to feel a lot of pressure. I mean, from as long as I've been thinking about the Seattle Mariners and watching them from the A-Rod, Ken Griffey Jr., Ichiro, Jay Buhner days, I mean, they've always kind of just fallen short, and they've had high expectations. They've been the wins leader at times, 2001, if I'm not mistaken. It's a year where they're going to feel the pressure, I'm sure, in the postseason. They have good starting pitching, no doubt, but it's not, I would say, the Phillies when they were rolling out the big three or the Oakland A's back in the day. So, yeah, this is a team that I would certainly say is going to win some games on the backs of their hitters, and they can do that, I think, from top to bottom. So I think Seattle certainly will be a formidable opponent for anybody that's got to see them in the postseason. That's why the American League, as you said, is going to be fun because you can make the argument for a number of teams.
Yep, we've got 1 week left of the regular season, then it's on to the postseason. Chris, I know you're going to do a great job finishing off the season strong, looking at the Baltimore Orioles, and then for you, lots of Ravens coverage, which if we don't see the Ravens in the postseason, that would be a big, giant surprise to a lot of people, but I know you're in for that, and you're doing a great job covering all the happenings out there in Charm City. So let the good people at home know it's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Sure thing. I am at The Big Cheese Show on X. On Instagram, I'm The Big Cheese Show, and we do cover Navy football as well. I help out with the coverage there, except this week we'll be attending my grandmother's 93rd birthday in New Jersey. My mother has secured a table near televisions to watch college football. Even though I'm more so focused on baseball at this point of the season, I'm not going to argue differently. As long as I'm in front of the TV, then I'll deal with the next challenge of speaking to a bartender about changing it to select baseball games. But Greg, thank you so much for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Chris is one of the best. He does such an amazing job covering so many different things, and every single time he joins me, he lends such great insight. So big thanks to Chris for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast, and coming next it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Tuesday as we touch them all.
Did I put the clothes in the dryer? I hope they don't think I was serious.
I need to be
about
awake.
Snacks.
I
Why won't my brain
snacks.
shut
Just
off?
sleep already.
When your racing thoughts keep you up at night, it's tough to let go and get the rest you need. Better sleep can help. You might have heard of white or brown noise, but there's a whole rainbow of color noises, and they can help you calm your mind, reduce stress, and sleep better. Like the green noise you're listening to now. With the Better Sleep app, you can discover more color noises and over 200 soothing sounds, guided meditations, and bedtime stories. High-quality rest is vital to your mental well-being and physical health. Calm your restless mind, conquer your day, and sleep better at night. Download Better Sleep from the App Store or Google Play and start a 7-day trial today. Because when you sleep better, you feel better.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Chris Cichon. He does such great work over at WBAL in Baltimore, taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights, and he did so once again today. So a big thanks to Chris for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Tuesday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at gunit_81. We are going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first, then the American League games, any Interleague games. Those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice, neat, clean, and easy. How about if we do get things started with 901, 902 on the card? The Pittsburgh Pirates walk the plank to Cincinnati to face off against the Reds, and yes, we're on to Cincinnati, and they're on to Brady Singer, hoping to have the Pirates singing the blues, and you don't mess with the Johan Oviedo. Goes for the Pirates. Pirates who find themselves between plus 119 to plus 130 underdogs, minus 142 to minus 157. That number on Cincinnati, 8.5 is the total. Over is minus 115, and the under is minus 105. Gonna be in on the Cincinnati Reds in this one. I I did set them on the money line at a minus 157. I do think that I'm just going to ride it out with the money line because I do think that this is going to be a little bit of a lower scoring game. I'm in on the under. Yohan Oviedo has actually been really good in his last 6 starts, 3.02 ERA, albeit the fielding dependent is a little bit high because in that time span, he has been giving up about 4.2 to 4.3 walks per 9 innings. I did roll out that first start where he only went 1 inning, so there's that aspect of things, but still, he's been able to do a nice job being able to get over 9 strikeouts per 9 innings since he got called up to the big league level. His swing and miss stuff is up, but Brady Singer is just in really good form. 3.86 ERA overall this season with 3.3 walks per 9 innings, but is allowing less than a home run per 9 innings, and he has given up 2 runs or fewer in 8 out of his last 10 starts, and I mean, it's not like he's backed up by an amazing bullpen. The bullpen is right around about league average or slightly below average. You've had your guys like a Graham Ashcraft, Brent Suter post up above a 4 ERA, but Tony Santillan along with Emilio Pagan, and Pagan does give up a few too many home runs. They've been able to give you about a sub 3.50 ERA, so these guys have been pretty rock solid. Nick Martinez has been able to lend some good long relief as well. For the Reds, you now have guys at 20 plus home runs overall for the season, but it's just a, for lack of a better term, pretty well-oiled machine and just a very balanced team that is fighting for a playoff spot. Ironically enough, with the Mets collapse as far as you've got so many guys that are just hitting in that neighborhood of, we're going to call it about a 257 to a 272. Novoli Marte, TJ Friedel, Ellie De La Cruz, Austin the Saves Kids, Sal Stewart. And Stewart has been able to give you 4 bombs and 46 at-bats. Friedel's giving you 360 on base. De La Cruz, 20 home runs, 36 stolen bases. So he's doing a nice job stuffing things. And Spencer Steer is up to 21 home runs as well. And then for the flip side, for the Pittsburgh Pirates, dead last in the big leagues in terms of a run creation. We've only got 3 guys on the roster with 10 plus home runs. Andrew McCutcheon, Brian Reynolds, and Oniel Cruz. Just have a lot of guys in general that, man, they are hitting a 209 or lower. Oniel Cruz, Emmanuel Valdez, Lovar Piguero, Jack Swiniski, Cam Devaney, Henry Davis. A lot of guys not producing it. They traded away Brian Haynes, and he's been doing pretty solid for the Reds, who they're going to be facing off against. Tommy Pham has hit the skids a little bit as well. For the bullpen, you've got a pair of guys that have been pretty solid in this bullpen. Isaac Madsen along Dana Santana. Both of these guys down below a 2.25 ERA. Dory Moretta has been able to give you some good innings as well, but when you do have to rely upon the likes of Colin Holderman and company, that's been a bit of an issue. So somebody told an 8.1, like the under, and the Reds on the money line. 903, 904 on the card. The Miami Marlins hit the road. They're facing off against the Philadelphia Phillies. Cadiz Tefer Sanchez is on the bump for the Phils, and Edward Cabrera is on the bump for the Marlins. Marlins do find themselves as a very sizable underdogs here. You're going to be getting them in that neighborhood of a plus 168 to a plus 180, in the neighborhood of a minus 205 to a minus 215 is that number on the Phillies. If you're looking to lay a run at, by the way, right now you're getting that right around about even money to even a plus 105 on the Phillies run line. 7.5 is the total. Over is minus 120. The under is even, and I'm going to be willing to take a shot on the over. I did somebody told it at 8.3. The Miami Marlins, I think that a lot of people would be surprised to know, they're averaging about 4.8 runs per game away from home, and that is a top 5 mark in all of baseball. For Edward Cabrera, he's going to be making his first start, and we're going to call it about 3 or so weeks. Last time he hit the mound, he was out there on August 30th. Overall for the season, 3.57 ERA, and he's been better in terms of not walking guys. He's down to 3 walks per 9 innings. For his career, had always been a 4+ walks per 9 innings guy. He's given up 1 home run per 9 innings, but is in relatively rough form. 5+ runs allowed in 3 out of his last 4 starts, and coming off the injury list, you just don't know what sort of form he's going to be in. Meanwhile, for one, Mr. Christopher Sanchez, this guy has been absolutely awesome for the Philadelphia Phillies. 2.66 ERA, 2.65 fielding dependent, 9.5 strikeouts and 2 walks per 9 innings, giving up 0.6 home runs per 9 innings. Just flat out domination from him, coming off of a relatively rough start on the road against the LA Dodgers. But you take a look at what Christopher Sanchez has been able to do in Philadelphia thus far this season, and he's posting up a 2.22 ERA. He's giving up about 0.6 home runs per 9 innings at home. I'm absolutely loving what I'm seeing out of him, and when it comes to this bullpen, they've been much better recently, even with Jose Alvarado being a flop coming off the suspended list, and I believe that he's now injured as well. You still have had the likes of a Tanner Banks, Orion Kerkering, Matt Strom be able to step up, be able to give this team a sub 3.25 ERA, and for the Philadelphia Phillies, they're just a completely different beast when they're at home versus away from home with their offense. They're averaging about 5.5 runs per game at home compared to about 4.3 runs per game away from home, and when it comes to Kyle Schwarber, he's been just one of the best hitters in all of baseball. I mean, this guy is right now slugging up 53 home runs with a 365 on base. He has been carrying the team all season long. Trey Turner down for what being on the injury list has been hurting this team, but Bryce Harper, he's really been able to ascend since the All-Star break. 27 bombs, he's up to a 360 on base, and getting back Alec Bohm should be able to help out as well. Not hitting for a ton of power this year, but he's been able to move the line, hitting about at 280. You've got Brandon Marsh, who's been able to about at 280 as well. The power outside of Harper, along with Kyle Schwarber, has been lackluster a little bit, but still very good offense. And on the flip side, the Miami Marlins just don't really have a lot of power bats, especially with Kyle Stowers being on the injury list, but you do have quite a few guys who have just found a way to be able to get on base. Jacob Marcy, the fact that he's been able to well above 300 in small sample size has been rock solid. Liam Hicks has been able to give you about a 345 on base. You've got Augustin Ramirez, who's been able to give you 21 home runs. He's pretty much the only guy other than Otto Lopez that is in the starting lineup right now that's giving you 10 plus home runs, with Stowers currently on the injured list. Xavier Edwards has been a little bit banged up at the top as well, but you've been able to have Roberto Hernandez hit for about a 340 on base, and in a small sample size, Trey Johnson, he's up to about a 275 average, 4 home runs at 100 at bats. So like what I'm seeing there, this has been a bullpen that has been a little bit all over the place. Lake Bakar has seen his ERA balloon up to right around about a 390, but I think Calvin Fauché has been able to straighten out a little bit. Ronnie Enriquez, Kate Gibson, these guys have been able to give you a sub 335 ERA. Tyler Phillips is able to lend some relatively good long relief as well, but I think that coming off the injury list, Cabrera is going to be hit relatively hard. Some might tell it at 8.3. I do like the overhand for the Phillies. Set their run line at a minus 124, so willing to lay a run and a half at right around even money. 905, 906 on the card. The Nationals are on the road facing off against the Atlanta Braves. Hurston Waldrop is on the bump for the Bravos, and Brad Lord says, oh Lord, getting another start for the Nationals, and Nationals pretty sizable underdogs here, anywhere between plus 158 to a plus 165. Meanwhile, anywhere between minus 194 to minus $2 is that number on the Atlanta Braves, with the total of 9. Over and under, anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 115. If you're looking to lay a run half with the Braves, between even money and plus 115 is that number on the Braves. So we're seeing a little bit of fluctuation there at a plus 105 or better. I am in on that Braves run line. I recognize that Hurston Waldrop has seen a little bit of regression ever since he had that just magnificent first 6 or 7 or so appearances, but still, he's been able to do a nice job holding it down, not allowing a lot of hard contact, not really beating himself. He's in his 9 total appearances, had 15 and a third innings with 3 home runs allowed. He's giving up about 3 walks per 9 innings with about 9 punch-outs per 9, so it's about as steady as they come. He had that rough start against the Houston Astros where he gave up an 8 spot. Other than that, 3 runs or fewer given up in all of his appearances, and on the other end, you've got yourself a guy in Brad Lord who he was looking relatively solid as a starter, but now we've seen a little bit of regression with him. For our good friend and Mr. Lord, he's right now posting up a 4.18 ERA, is coming off of giving up 300 runs or fewer in each out of his last 3 starts. He had prior to that a run where he had given up 14 runs over the course of 2 starts. Not much of a strikeout guy, 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, but not really hurting himself. 3 walks, 0.9 home runs allowed per 9 innings for a 385 fielding dependent, but he is backed up by a bullpen that's just absolutely horrible. Dead last in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA for the Washington Nationals. They just can't find guys that are able to fill innings at this point other than PJ Poulin. Poulin has been relatively solid in this bullpen. He's been able to give the team a sub 3 ERA. When he's been out there, Cole Henry has not been overly awful as well, but then you just take a look at these guys like Jackson Rutledge, Soren Lau, Shinkuski Ogasawa, Orlando Rebalta. So many guys that are posting up an ERA that is well above a 480, so that has been a little bit less than amazing for them. Now for the Washington Nationals, they're a team that at home they're only generating in the neighborhood of about 4 runs per game, but on the road that goes to about 4.6 runs per contest. James Wood has been able to give you good wood, 27 home runs, albeit most of those came before the All-Star break, but still give you about a 350 on base. CJ Abrams, of his 18 home runs, he has had all but 3 of them come on the road this far this season. Josh Bell, since the beginning of the month of July, hitting well above a 255. He's up to 20 home runs this season. The young guys have just not necessarily been what you were expecting. Andres Shapiro, Dylan Cruz, Robert Hassel, these are all guys give you a sub 280 on base. Brady House as well. Though I will say, Dallin Lyle has really been solid. He's been able to hit about a 290, and for the Atlanta Braves, ever since the All-Star break, this has been a top 10 team in terms of their run creation, with Matt Olson really leading the way. 375 on base. He's up to 28 home runs. You've had Marcell Ozuna supply a 353 on base, but just a 229 average. He's been stuck on 20 home runs for quite a while. Drake Baldwin, he's been a little bit up and down, but he seems to be rounding back into form. 18 bombs, hitting about a 275, and then you do have Michael Harris give you about a 241 average with 17 home runs, which doesn't sound bad, but he also has an on-base percentage that's right now 262, so needs to improve that a little bit. And for the Braves, it's been an up-down all-around bullpen with Raciel Iglesias finally starting to round into good form. Way too little, way too late, but his ERA is down below about a 335, so that's all. Pierce Johnson has been as steady as they come, about a 2.55 ERA out of him. Tyler Kinley, since they picked him up from the Rockies, has a sub 1 ERA, so these guys are starting to blossom a little bit more. As a result, I did set my total at 8.9. Here at the 9, I'm in on the under end. Do like the Braves at a plus 105 or better on the run line. 907, 908 on the card. It is the Chicago Cubs, and they play host to the New York Mets. David Peterson, great name, is on the bump for the Mets, and Cade Horton, here's a who, is on the bump for the Cubs. The Cubs between minus 116 to minus 125 favorites, and between even money to plus 105 is that number on the Metropolitans. Right now, the initial openers I'm seeing are a 7.5 over and under, are both at minus 110. Now, towards the beginning part of the day, it looks like the wind is going to be blowing out. By first pitch, it's going to be blowing in, but it's going to be blowing in lightly, and it's going to be getting more and more, shall we say, rapid and more intense with regards to the wind as the night does roll along. So I did set a total to where an 8 or less, I'm in on the over, an 8.5 or higher to the under. Seeing those initial openers of 7.5, I'm going to be willing to take a shot on the over. I do think that Cade Horton is doing for a little bit of regression here. Like, it's been an absolutely amazing run that we have seen for Cade Horton. He has allowed 5 runs over the course of his last 10 starts. Like, this is just absolutely ridiculous what we've seen out of him. But I mean, he does have a 2.66 ERA compared to a 3.53 fielding independent. That does need to be kept in mind. Not necessarily the biggest strikeout guy in the world. 7.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's done a good job of inducing soft contact. 0.7 home runs allowed per 9 innings. And he's in much better form than David Peterson. So I am going to be willing to lay this number here with the Chicago Cubs, a Mets team that, man, well, I talk about a team that's just going straight down the toilet bowl. This has not been great. Peterson, great name. Not so great that he's now up to a 3.98 ERA, as he has just gotten tattooed recently. 3+ runs allowed in each out of his last 4 starts. He's had some massive issues when he's been at home. He's actually been a little bit better when he has been on the road. You take a look at what Peterson has done, only giving up about 0.6 home runs per 9 innings this year. He's been able to induce soft contact on the road, giving up about 0.65 home runs per 9 innings with a 3.76 ERA compared to a 4.20 ERA at home. And honestly, for the Mets, just getting away from home might be a good thing because of the way that they had been playing recently. But for the Mets, you do have a quartet of guys that will give you at least 22 home runs, and they're all hitting at least a 260 for this team, with Juan Soto certainly living up to his billing right now. Like, you can say what you want about the Mets, but Juan Soto, 400 on base with 42 home runs, he's doing his part. And then Francisco Lindor is up to 20 bombs, hitting about a 265. Pete Alonso, 350 on base, 37 home runs. Brandon Nimmo, he's up to 260. He's been able to supply 24 bombs himself. You've got the guys like Brett Beatty, Jeff McNeil, being able to give you about a 250 or so average. Mark Vientos, he's been a little bit up and down, but he's now up to 17 home runs as well. So this is an improved lineup, especially with Starling Marte moving the line. The issue for the Mets right now is this bullpen. Like, ever since the trade deadline, they have been a bottom 8 team in terms of bullpen ERAs. These guys are just not working out for them. They have Gregory Soto posting up an ERA that's nearly a 4. Oscar Zobin is right around about a 3.86. And then we have just seen the toilet bowling of Ryan Elsley. It's been a little bit better in his last few outings, but since getting to New York, he's got an ERA that is well above a 6. Justin Hagenman has not necessarily been great as a long guy. Obviously, Edwin Diaz has been rock solid, and Brooks Raley has been as well. On the other end for the Chicago Cubs, they've been dealing with the injury to Daniel Palencia, but all in all, these guys like Taylor Rogers, Drew Pomeranz, Brad Keller, they've gone out there, held down the fort for a sub 3.25 ERA. Caleb Theobar has been solid for the Cubs. The real issue is ever since the All-Star break, they've been a bottom 6 team with regards to run creation, but now you've got Michael Busch, Sage Suzuki, Pico Armstrong, all between 27 and 29 home runs. Suzuki and Armstrong have been sort of stuck in the mud recently, but Busch is getting it going with about a 335 on base. Since the All-Star break, you've had Nico Horner hit above a 300, and for Matt Shaw, 12 home runs overall this season, but 9 have come ever since the All-Star break. He has been much improved in the second half of the season, and Moises Ballesteros is giving the team a little bit of a spark with his 370 on base in a small sample size. Do they think that Horner experiences a little bit of regression, but do think that the Cubs get the job done against a flailing Mets team? So I still at an 8.1, so like the over and the Cubs on the money line. 9.9, 9.10 on the card. It is the Brewers. They are on the road against the San Diego Padres. We do know that Wander Randy Vasquez is going to be on the bump for the Pods. Right now, it's to be determined for the Brewers. This game is off the board. Right now, it's looking like Bruce Zimmerman is going to be getting the start for the Brewers. If it is Zimmerman / like a poo-poo platter of pitchers in terms of bullpen game for the Brewers, I set the Padres at a minus 113 on the money line. We'll go up to a minus 112 there, plus 114 or better. Looking at the Brewers, and then made a draw of an 8.8, 8.5 or less. I'm in on the over, a 9 or higher to the under. Now, Zimmerman has indeed been selected by the Brewers. He might not necessarily be the starter, but he should be factoring into this game in some form or fashion. If he doesn't, I would be very much surprised. Will be his first outing at the big league level since the 2023 campaign. I know that he's dealt with a little bit of injuries, a little bit of up-down all around. You take a look at what he did at the minor league level this year, and he was posting up an ERA right around about a 4.16, 9 strikeouts at 3 walks per 9 innings, not giving up a ton of hard contact. At the same time, it's just been a little bit meh for him, so I mean, it's going to be an interesting scenario, and I do think that he's going to be able to do an okay job against a Padres team that continues to be in the bottom 5 of the big leagues in terms of home runs out of per at-bat basis, and they have been in the bottom half of the big leagues in general in terms of run creation. Now, things are better with Ramon Laureano, giving you 20-plus home runs, and he's been hitting right around about a 280 this year, and Ryan O'Hearn has not given a ton of boom ever since getting to the San Diego Padres, but he certainly has been able to get on base with the Padres over a 335 on base. You still have Gavin Sheets giving you 19 bombs, hitting at 260. Manny Machado, 26 home runs, hitting at 275. Fernando Tatis Jr., 370 on base. He's Mayo Spy, 23 home runs. So these guys have been relatively rock solid. They've been dealing with the injury to Xander Bogaerts, so that's been a little bit of an ailment for them, but Jake Cronenworth has given you about a 370 on base, and on any given night, you could have the Padres having all 9 starters give you at least a 250 average, but again, the power just has not been there. What has been powerful for the Padres has been this bullpen, though. They are number 1 in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA, just so many great options for the team. Even Ryan Marinaccio, who's now getting some innings. He, David Morgan, throwing their Adrian Morejon, Jason Adam. These guys have all been able to give you a sub 285 ERA. Robert Suarez has been a little bit up and down towards back half of the games, but he and Wandy Peralta still been solid. Jeremiah Estrada has had some issues, and for the Brewers, they're getting healthier in this bullpen as Grant Anderson has dealt with a little bit of injury. They get he and Nick Mears back. Both of these guys have been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. You've had really good innings out of Aaron Ashby, Abner Uribe, still dealing with that injury to Trevor McGill, which has hurt the team a little bit, but the mix and match guys certainly coming through for this unit. And then for the Milwaukee Brewers, they are right now at the top of the National League in terms of run creation away from home with about 5.4 runs per contest. Christian Yelich is a lone guy on the roster, by the way, entering into the series with over 20 home runs, 29 bombs. He's just been a part of a group, though, that has been able to move the line and get on base. He, Caleb Durbin, Bryce Terang. Now they've got off the injured list a guy in Rhys Hoskins, Andrew Marisario, William Contreras, Isaac Collins, all give you at least a 345 on base since he's gotten to town. Andrew Vaughn has been able to give you a 375 on base, has scaled down with regards to home runs, but he's continued to move the line, get on base. And for Randy Vasquez, he has had a very charmed season, I think is the best way of being able to put it, because for Randy Vasquez, right now he's rocking a 394 ERA, but that fielding independent is a 498, 5.3 strikeouts at 3.6 walks per 9 innings. He's pitching to a bunch of contact. He's giving up a lot of walks, but somehow, some way, he's Houdining his way out of it. Went just 2 1/3 innings in his last start against the Mets, so don't have to be a big concern there. So at a minus 112 or better, looking at the pods, plus 114 or better, the Brewers, and then 8.5 or less in on the over 9 or higher, the under 9-11, 9-12 on the card. It is the Arizona Diamondbacks playing the LA Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani is on the bump for the Dodgers, and Brandon Pfaadt looks a battle for Arizona. Arizona does find themselves as an underdog, anywhere between plus 134 to a plus 148. Meanwhile, minus 160 to minus 178 is that number on the Dodgers with a total of 9. The under is minus 115 to minus 120. Over is between even to minus 105. And for those looking to lay a run half with the Dodgers, that's between even money and minus 105. And I would have personally needed at least a plus 114 to be able to do so. In terms of taking the money line of the Diamondbacks, I was willing to take a plus 148 or higher, and we just got there. So I am in on the Arizona Diamondbacks with the way that Shohei Ohtani has been very rock solid, but still, he's probably going to be able to give you 5 innings. You don't know if he's going to be able to give you much more than 5 innings moving forward, though. And for Shohei Ohtani, if you take a look at the overall ERA, he's actually doing for a lot of positivity on it. He has pitched quite well thus far this season, as he's got a 3.29 ERA, but 2.12 fielding dependent, 11.9 strikeouts at 2 walks per 9 innings, only giving up 0.7 home runs per 9 innings. So have loved what I've seen there. But for this bullpen, you've got the likes of a Blake Trinan, along with Kirby Yates, Tanner Scott, all coming off the injured list, but all have given you an ERA above a 3.75. So that's been an issue. Michael Kopech lands back on the injured list, so that has been a little bit less than amazing. You've had Jack Dreher be very solid in this bullpen along with Alex Vesia, but they just need a little bit more there. Now for the LA Dodgers, this is still one of the most rock-solid offenses that you're going to find in all of baseball. Max Muncy has been a big reason why this team has a sub-500 record without Max Muncy in the lineup, and they do see a drop-off of about a run at per game fewer when he's out of the lineup rather than when he's in the lineup. Shohei Ohtani has been amazing, though. He's been able to give you 395 on base, 53 home runs. Andy Paz, Teoscar Hernandez combined 49 home runs, so Hernandez just at 284 on base. You expect a little bit more there. Paz has been able to about a 280. Mookie Betts, he's really rounded into form here in the second half of the season after a rough beginning part of the campaign, and having Will Smith on the injured list does hurt this team, as Dalton Rushing, along with Michael Conforto, these guys have not been able to give you a whole heck of a lot. But on the other end, you do have a Arizona Diamondbacks team that, even though they do trade away pieces at the trade deadline, this has been just a very rock-solid lineup all season long. You have to love what you've been seeing. Geraldo Perdomo give you a 390 on base. He's been able to supply the team with 19 home runs, and then Corbin Carroll, he's up to 31 bombs. It's been a little bit up and down for him this far this season, but he seems to be playing some of his best baseball for a Diamondbacks team that's not out of it in terms of playoff race. And even though they trade away Eugenio Suarez, they do trade away Josh Naylor, you've seen quite a few of these young guys be able to step up. Like Blaze Alexander has been seeing a lot of at-bats since the All-Star break. 7 home runs, 325 on base, and about 200 bats. You've got Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte. He has slowed down a little bit in terms of power, but still give you above a 370 on base. You've been able to get some good at-bats out of Gabriel Moreno with above a 4 on base ever since he's come off the injured list. Big issue for the Diamondbacks has been this bullpen. They're in the bottom 6 in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. You've been able to get a really good just production out of Andrew Saalfrank. He's been able to give you a sub-2 ERA. And I will say, John Curtis with 2 S's, he's down to an ERA below a 4 as well, but you do have the likes of a Juan Murillo, Kyle Bacchus, Taylor Rashi, Brandon Garcia, a lot of guys that are posting up an ERA that is well above a 4. So, interesting circumstance here. I did set my total at an 8.7 because with Brandon Pfaadt, he has been much better when he has been at home rather than on the road. The 5.02 ERA is less than savory. He's only getting about 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, and for the campaign, he's up to about 1.7 home runs allowed per 9 innings, but that really dries up at home. At home, he is giving up 0.3 home runs per 9 innings, 3.15 ERA, 7.29 ERA on the road. So with the Diamondbacks plus 148 or higher, I'm going to be willing to take a shot on them on the money line. So I might tell it at 8.7. So at the 9, I like the under. 9.13, 9.14 on the card. You've got the St. Louis Cardinals on the road against the San Francisco Giants. Logan Webb goes for the Giants. Andre 3000 Palante is on the bump for the Cardinals. Cardinals between plus 160 to plus 165. Meanwhile, minus 190 to minus $2 is that number on San Francisco. 7.5 is the total. Over and under anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 115. With the Giants, I set them on the money line at a minus 238. If you're looking to lay a run half with them, right now you're finding that at a plus 115. Sign me up there. Andre Palante. Ooh, it is not good for Mr. Andre Palante right now, as he's overall for the season seen his ERA balloon up to now a 5.29, but in this almighty run of him giving up at least 4 runs, and I believe it's now 7 out of his last 9 outings. Just not great, to say the least. He's always been good at keeping the ball in the yard, 1.2 home runs per 9 innings. That's nearly 30% higher than his career average. 6 strikeouts to 3.5 walks per 9 innings. It has just been all sorts of bad for him. And for Logan Webb, he's always been a much better pitcher when he's been at home rather than away from him. I recognize that his last home start was less than savory against the LA Dodgers, but he's not facing the LA Dodgers. He's facing a Cardinals team that is currently dead sinking last in the National League in terms of run creation ever since the All-Star break. And for Logan Webb, those career numbers, 285 home ERA, 395 ERA on the road. At home for his career, he's giving up only about 0.5 home runs per 9 innings. And if you look at him overall for the season, he's been able to get just below 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's only giving up about 2 walks per 9 as well. So I like the form that he's coming in. And for the St. Louis Cardinals, they are dealing with Wilson Contreras being on the injury list, so that's not necessarily great for them, to say the least. Mason Wynn has now hit the injury list as well. You have Alec Burleson, 16 plus home runs. He's been able to give you about a 345 on base. Brendan Donovan has been activated off the injured list as well. And very technically, the Cardinals are still alive for the playoffs. Not much life there, but they're technically still alive for the playoffs. Lars Nootbaar, ever since coming off the injury list, he has not been able to hit for a lot of power, but if you look at Lars Nootbaar ever since the All-Star break, he's been good, being able to hit about a 255 for this team. But the young guys like Nolan Gorman, Victor Scott, Jordan Walker, Nathan Church, all these guys hitting at 230 or lower, that has been relatively brutal for this team. Though for the St. Louis Cardinals, this has been a good bullpen. They let go of Ryan Helsley at just the right time because he has been not great with the New York Mets. But you do take a look at the likes of Kyle Leahy, Riley O'Brien, Matt Savance, and Jojo Romero. You've got a lot of guys who have been able to give you a sub-325 ERA. And for the Giants, this continues to be a top 5 team in terms of bullpen ERA, albeit not the same bullpen that we saw at the beginning part of the season with the Randy Rodriguez injury. You've had Jose Buto along with Matt Gage recently act up a little bit in the series against the LA Dodgers, but have been able to have a guy in Yoel Piero be able to step up, be able to give this team a sub-3 ERA. Joe Lucchesi has been rock solid as well. So do think that for the Giants, they do go out there and they just take it to the Cardinals. I'm willing to lay the run line. I set my run line at a minus 123 on the Giants. So going to be looking there. Made my total a 7.8. So I'm also going to be in on the 7.5 over. 9:15, 9:16 on the card. The Orioles play out the Tampa Bay Rays. Ryan Pepiot is on the bump for the Rays. Dean Kramer goes for Baltimore. Baltimore does find themselves in a lot of places a slim underdog. A few places a very, very slim favorite. And between even money to minus 112. Meanwhile, between minus 108 to a minus 115 as that number on the Rays. 9 is the total. The over is anywhere between minus 110 to even money. And the under is between minus 110 to a minus 120. And for the Rays, I did set them at a minus 122. Looking at the money line here for the Rays, they've been limiting the innings of a lot of guys. And Ryan Pepiot does seem to be one of those guys that seems to be on the, shall we say, list of guys whose innings they are looking to limit. Overall for the season, 377 ERA with a 441 fielding dependent, 9 strikeouts to 3.3 walks allowed per 9 innings. They gave him an extra day or two off for this start as well. He's given up 0 runs in 3 out of his last 4 starts, so that's been pretty rock solid, but only went 1 2/3 innings in his last start against Toronto, a little bit of a precautionary sort of thing. And on the other end for Dean Kramer, he has been a whole heck of a lot better when he has been at home rather than away from home. For Kramer, when he has been away from home, it's been a little bit of a disaster. Overall for the season, 439 ERA, 405 fielding dependent, 7.5 strikeouts to about 2.4 walks per 9 innings. And you take a look at what he's been able to do in Baltimore thus far this season. He's posting up an ERA that is a 3.13. While he has been giving up 1.3 home runs per 9 innings, he's been able to limit the damage compared to giving up about 1.1 home runs per 9 innings away from home, but he has rocketed a 5.38 ERA when he's away from home. The big thing that you have to be cautious of with the Baltimore Orioles, though, is a bullpen that is not good to say the least. You've got so many guys like Yarmir Hidalgo, throwing there Corbin Martin, Grant Wolfram. These guys are posting up a north of 4 ERA. Yunier Cano, don't you know he's not been good? Keegan Aiken has been like your lone trustworthy guy in this Orioles bullpen recently, and for Baltimore, they have been much better with their offense when they've been at home rather than away from home. Away from home, 3.95 runs per game. That is second worst in the American League, compared to more like 4.5 runs per game at home. They are quite a bit banged up, and they are dealing with some guys that have just been ineffective in general. Kobe Mayo, Samuel Basallo, hitting below a 215. Dylan Carlson has given you a big giant nothing burger, so that's been a little bit of an issue. You've got Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holiday, who've been the 2 main constants for this team. You've got Henderson at about a 350 on base with 16 home runs. Holiday is able to give you 17 bombs. He's hitting about a 250. And then Ryan Mountcastle's hitting a 252, but only about a 287 on base with 6 home runs. You need a little bit more there. Dylan Beaver's up, giving you over a 4 on base. That's been pretty rock solid. And for the Tampa Bay Rays, this has been a team that's been in the upper half of the big leagues with regards to run production, with having Junior Caminero and Brandon Lau supply the boom. Lau and Caminero both hitting about a 260. Lau's up to 30 home runs, and Caminero 44 bombs. Neither of these guys draw a lot of walks, but you know what? They're generating a lot of power. Andy Diaz, since the beginning of the month of June, is hitting like a 350, 25 home runs this far this season. Jonathan Aranda going on the injured list hurt this team a little bit, but you still have Chandler Simpson, Jake Magnum, who have done a nice job swiping bags. Both of these guys hitting darn near 300 with 43 stolen bases for Chandler Simpson. It's been a little bit shaky at the shortstop spot along with the catcher spot, and for the Tampa Bay Rays, it's been a little bit up and down all around for the bullpen, but some of the young guys are starting to step up. When you have Joe Rock in a little bit of a long roll, he has been solid, but then you have Cole Souls or Garrett Clevenger, both give you a sub 335 ERA. Eric Orze has been pretty solid. He and P. Fairbanks in that neighborhood about a 3 ERA. So circumstance where with the Rays, I'm willing to lay up to a minus 121 on that money line, and I did some I told here at an 8.8. So right now seeing that 9, I'm in on the under. 917, 918 on the card. The Detroit Tigers are on the road against the Cleveland Guardians. Gavin Williams goes for Cleveland. Tariq Skubal is on the bump for Detroit. Detroit is a favorite of anywhere between minus 155 to a minus 165, between plus 128 to a plus 140 is that number on Cleveland, with a total of 6.5 to 7 on the 7. Under is minus 120, the over is even on the 6.5. Over is minus 120, and the under is even money. I did some I told you here at a 6.8. I would rather have a 7 under rather than a 6.5 over, because with the Guardians, they're really not generating a lot of offense at home. 3.8 runs per game at home. That's actually second worst in all of baseball. And Tariq Skubal has still been amazing. 223 ERA. His strikeout to walk ratio is 7.77. He's giving up fewer than 1 home run per 9 innings. So, Tariq Skubal has been very good, and ever since that injury scare against Miami Marlins last start out, he gives up 1 run in 6+ innings. So, he looked fine there. And for the Cleveland Guardians, it has been a bit of an up and down season for Gavin Williams. And even though he's got a 3.06 ERA, the fielding dependent is above a 4.25 because he has been giving up a lot of walks in the neighborhood, about 4.5 walks per 9 innings. And he does allow about 1.3 home runs per 9 innings, but he's given up a combined 4 runs over the course of his last 4 starts. He has been very rock solid on that front end. for Gavin Williams when he has been at home thus far this season. He's been able to keep the ball in the yard relatively well, giving up about 1.1 home runs per 9 innings. That ERA goes down to a 3 at home. He's backed up by a Cleveland Guardians team that is in the top 5 in terms of bullpen ERA as well. Even though Cade Smith and Hunter Gaddis have been a little bit up and down with regards to this bullpen, both of them are still now supplying a sub-350 ERA. You've had Nick Enrico on the injured list, but Colby Allard, along with Eric Zabrowski, Jacob Junis, these are guys give you a sub-285 ERA. And for the Guardians, the big key is just getting a little bit more offense, because you've got Jose Ramirez, who's been able to give you 30 home runs, 360 on base, and Kyle Manzardo, he's starting to pick it up with regards to on base, 320 on base, 26 home runs. Stephen Kwan has been able to about a 275. That said, the rest of this lineup, man, it has not been great. They had a DFA, Carlos Santana, during the season. Then you got the likes of Bo Naylor, David Fry, John Kenzie Noel, Austin Hedges, all these guys, they're hanging below the middle line of 200. CJ Kfis, Owen Jones, more than they were about at 215. So that has been a pretty big issue for this bunch. And on the other end, you do have a Tigers team that has been in the top 8 in terms of run creation. They're a little bit better with their run scoring at home rather than away from home, but on any given night, you can have 7 to 8 guys in the starting lineup hitting above a 250, and you've got a pair of guys that combine for 65 home runs in Riley Green along Spencer Torkelson, with Green hitting about a 260, Torkelson more around a 243, but a 335 on base. Dylan Dingler has now been able to hit about a 280. He's been able to give you 13 home runs as he, Koki, Thavi Baez, Vencio Perez, Zach McKinstry, all having at least a 248, and all being able to give you at least 11 home runs, between 11 to 13 home runs apiece. So really good consistency in this lineup for the Tigers. Bullpen has been getting a little bit better. They've had some nice finds with someone like a Bailey Horn, John Brebbia, Troy Melton. They've been able to give you a sub-325 ERA, but Tyler Holton has been posting up a 375 ERA. Tommy Canley has been just a big giant mess for this team as well. So it's a fascinating circumstance with the Guardians. I set their money line at a plus 143. When we get the dime lines out here in Vegas, we should be able to get a plus 145 on that. That will put me on the Cleveland Guardians on the money line, and at a 7, I'm in on this total under 919, 920 on the card. It is the Yankees playing OC Chicago White Sox. Shane Smith is on the bump for the White Sox, and Luis Eel is on the bump for the Yankees. Yankees are between minus 245 to a minus 255 favorite, and between plus 198 to a plus 210 is that number on the Southsiders. 9 is the total. I'm seeing a few straight 8.5s out there as well. On the 8.5, over is minus 115, under is minus 105, and on the 9, under is between minus 115 to a minus 120, over is between even to minus 105, and delay run half with the Yankees, that's right around minus 115 to minus 118. I'm willing to go up to a minus 133. Shane Smith has had legitimately a pretty solid season for the Chicago White Sox. That said, he's a guy that has been giving up a few more walks than what I would like for Shane Smith. He's got an ERA overall for the season of a 406, fielding dependent more around about a 434 with 3.5 walks per 9 innings. Still only giving up about 1.1 home runs per 9 innings, but we have seen things be a little bit more sour for him recently. He's given up a combined 10 runs over the course of his last 3 starts and 14 innings, so less than savory there. And for Luis Eel, I just don't know how this guy's not giving up more runs this far this season. He's posting up a 3.33 ERA. He's not getting the same strikeouts that he used to. 7 strikeouts per 9 innings with 5.7 walks per 9 innings, but somehow, someway, he has allowed 3 earned runs or fewer in all but one of his 9 starts this far this season. That's mainly because he's been limiting harder contact. 2 home runs allowed in 46 innings this far this season. Now faces off against a Chicago White Sox team that legitimately has been in the top 10 in the big leagues in terms of run creation ever since the All-Star break. Lennon Sosa has been a big reason why he's hitting about a 260 with 21 home runs. You've got Andrew Benintendi starting to pick it up as well. 20 bombs. He's been able to give you about a 305 on base himself, and it's just been a lot of mix and match. The catcher spot has been very good to this team. Edgar Quiero, Kyle Teal are both hitting in the neighborhood about a 275. Jason Meredith has been able to give you about a 375 on base. Mike Talkman about a 355 on base, albeit not necessarily a ton of power, but these guys are just not striking out, which is something that you like to see. And for the New York Yankees, you just have a whole bunch of boppers in this lineup. On any given night, you might have all 9 guys in the starting lineup with at least 19 home runs, albeit you need Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe to do a better job of just finding way on base. Both of these guys at 273 on base and both hitting below a 220, so that's a little bit of an issue. But Cody Bellinger, 29 home runs, he's been able to about a 270. You've had Aaron Judge give you about a 450 on base. He's up to 49 bombs this season. Jazz Chisholm is getting jazzy with about a 330 on base with 31 home runs. Trent Grisham, 33 bombs, and he has hit 17 plus of them ever since the All-Star break as well. And for the Yankees, a big kryptonite for this team has been the bullpen. Since the beginning of the month of July, a bottom 3 team in terms of bullpen areas. David Bednar has been solid. He's been able to give you about a 2.50 ERA. Tim Hill's more in the neighborhood about a 3.20 ERA. But since coming off the injury list, Yuri De Los Santos and Luke Weaver just have not been the same. You've got an over 5 ERA out of Devin Williams, Mark Leiter Jr. right around about a 4.90. So got a lot of guys that are just not really pulling their weight for the team right now. And for the Chicago White Sox, Mike Facil has been a very good long guy, being able to give you a sub-3 ERA. But typically they throw him for 3 innings, so they can only use him every 3 or so days. Welcome Gonzalez has been able to give you a sub-3 ERA as well. But then got a lot of guys like Tyler Gilbert, Brandon Iser, Frazier Aller, Tyler Alexander that are posting up an ERA above a 4 as well. So interesting circumstance here. I did set my total at a 9.2, so at the 9 I like the over, and I do like the Yankees on the run line. 921, 922 on the card. The Toronto Blue Jays play also the Boston Red Sox. Lucas Giolito is on the bump for the Sox, and you've got Kevin Gausman going for the Blue Jays. Total on this game is 8. The over is between minus 105 to a minus 110. The under is between minus 110 to a minus 115. Between minus 153 to a minus 169. Very nice for the Blue Jays, and anywhere between plus 135 to a plus 142. That number on the Boston Red Sox. And with the Red Sox, I did set them here on the money line at a plus 141. So anything above a plus 140 is buy for me on the money line of the Red Sox. With Lucas Giolito, he's just been a different pitcher ever since the beginning of the month of June. Had a few rough starts to begin the season, and still way down with his strikeout stuff to just take a look at the entirety of the season. He's had 7.6 strikeouts per 9 innings, and in this recent run that he's had ever since he had that bad start against the LA Angels to begin the month of June, it's not like his swing and miss stuff has been a whole heck of a lot higher, and you do want to be a little bit cautious that he has given up 4+ runs in now 2 out of his 3 starts since the beginning of the month of September. But that said, a few of those runs that he gave up against the Arizona Diamondbacks, those were unearned runs, and in this span of, we're going to call it now, 17 starts, he has been posting up an ERA that is below a 3.25. He has been giving up fewer than 3 walks per 9 innings in this time span as well. And for Kevin Gausman, he's just been a steady Eddie guy. It's not like he's been completely blowing teams away or anything like that, but he's not really hurting himself. He's giving up 1 home run, 2.3 walks per 9 innings, 3.38 ERA compared to a 3.52 fielding dependent. Comes in having allowed just 3 runs over the course of the last 4 starts. Now he does have to face off against a Red Sox team that, even with Roman Anthony out of the fold, they have been a top 8 team in terms of run creation. Not necessarily because of a ton of supreme power either. Trevor Story is up to 25 home runs, but with Wilder Abreu dealing with injury, he's the only guy in the roster that's really giving you 18+ home runs, so Abreu should be activated for this series, it seems like. You've got Alex Bregman, who's been able to give you about a 365 on base, and then Rami Gonzalez has been very good at finding a way on base. He's been able to hit about a 300. Whenever they've given Rob Refsnyder at-bats as well, he'll hit about a 275, and then just have a lot of guys in general hitting in that neighborhood about a 250 to a 264. Assuming that Abreu is back for the series, Makasataka Yoshida, Nick Sogard, Jaron Duran, Trevor Story, all in that neighborhood, so that's been pretty rock solid. What has been actually most rock solid for the Boston Red Sox, so, and their real advantage here is the bullpen, as for this bullpen, they've got Aroldis Chapman, who's been the best closer in all of baseball. 1.21 ERA. He's getting darn near 12.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, but past him, likes of Steven Matz, Justin Wilson, Greg Weiser, along Garrett Woodlock, these guys have all been able to give you a sub-3.15 ERA. On the flip side for the Toronto Blue Jays, we have seen this team just crater in general with regards to their bullpen. Brandon Little, Braden Fisher, Uriel Rodriguez, Louis Varland, all guys for the season who have been able to give you a ERA better than a 3.50, but all north of a 4 ERA ever since the All-Star break. So Anthony Dominguez has actually been relatively okay in this bullpen, but I think Jeff Hoffman has had a season to forget. Whenever they had Chad Green out there, that was not great, and when it comes to this Blue Jays lineup, they have really been ripping the cover off the ball, number 1 in the American League in terms of run creation ever since the All-Star break, and now you've got George Springer up to 30 home runs, giving you a 3.95 on base. You'd expect a little bit more than the 23 home runs out of Vlad Jr., but still has been able to do a really good job hitting for darn near 300 with a 390 on base. Bo Bichette is hitting above a 300. He's been able to supply 18 home runs. You've had Dalton Varsho really supply the boom with a home run every about 12 or so bats. Not hitting for a lot of average, just a 286 on base, but still has been very rock solid for this team. I do think that in the end, Kevin Gausman is going to be able to give you a relatively good start, but been very impressed by Lucas Giolito as well. I do think that Gausman experiences a little bit of regression, and these are 2 very rock solid offenses, so I did set my total at an 8.9. I'm going to be in on the over. And for the Red Sox, plus 142 or better, like that money line. 923, 924 on the card. It is the Minnesota Twins are on the road against the Walker Texas Rangers. We do know that Zebby Matthews is on the bump for the Twins, and it is all to be determined on the bum for the Rangers. Now, just before coming on this podcast, Rangers PR said that the probable is Patrick Corbin, so I've handicapped as if we do get Corbin going against Zebby Matthews, and set the Rangers at a minus 143 on the money line, willing to go up to a minus 142 on the Rangers, plus 144 better. Looking at the Twins, it made a total of an 8.6, so in half or less, I'm going to be in on the over a 9 or higher to the under for Zebby Matthews. I actually do think that he is doing for quite a bit of positivity, and I do think that he's a little bit of an upside pitcher. For Zebby Matthews, 5.97 ERA is just all sorts of awful, but a 3.85 fielding dependent. He is giving up 1.4 home runs per 9 innings, but over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. The 3 walks per 9 innings isn't great, but at the same time, it's not necessarily awful. He does go up against a Rangers lineup that has been all sorts of banged up. Corey Seager being on the injured list, along with Marcus Semien, that has just not been helping out the cause whatsoever, and when it comes to this Texas Rangers team, one of their best hitters ever since the beginning of the month of July, in which, since the beginning of the month of July, they have been averaging about 4.8 to 4.9 runs per game. That'd be Kyle Higashioka. You've been able to get some good production out of Jake Berger ever since he's come off the injured list, hitting above 300. He's been able to supply a few home runs there. You've got the Josh Smith along Josh Young, both hitting in the neighborhood of about a 250. Just not necessarily a ton of power with this team, though. Like, Jonah Heim has 11 home runs, but he's been giving you about a 275 on base, so that's been a little bit of a issue. And for Adolis Garcia, 18 home runs, but again, 271 on base, but it's been a strength of the Rangers, so top 8 team with regards to bullpen ERA. Just a lot of guys going out there doing their job and holding down the fort. Now, Hobie Milner has been having a little bit of a rough go of it, but likes of a Phil Matone, Robert Garcia, Cole Winn, Sean Armstrong, these guys give you a sub 3.45 ERA. That has been pretty rock solid. And on the other side of things, you've got a Twins bullpen that they sold off so many of their good pieces, like Louis Varland, a guy in Danny Kalum, who's currently on the other side for the Texas Rangers. So you're relying upon likes of Justin Tope, Cody Funderburk, Michael Tonkin, a whole bunch of guys that are giving you an ERA that is well above a 350, so that has been a little bit less than savory for this team. And with regards to the Twins, you do have some good firepower with regards to being able to hit the deep ball. Byron Buxton, 31 home runs, he's up to about a 330 on base, but a lot of guys that they hit home runs, but they don't necessarily get on. Cody Clemens, 19 home runs, 289 on base, 219 average. Matt Wallner, he does have a 311 on base, but hitting a 202 with his 22 home runs. Brooks Lee, 290 on base with 16 home runs. Trevor Larnach is moving the line, 17 home runs, about a 325 on base, so that's been pretty solid. But the mix and match guys they've had in this lineup have just not necessarily been the world's greatest. Edouard Julien hitting right around the middle line of 200. You've had Lucas Shield be able to give you about a 400 base. He has been pretty rock solid, but then you've got like some Mickey Gasper, James Outman that have just not been able to find a way on base. Both of these guys hitting below the middle line of a 200. So interesting circumstance here with a guy in Patrick Corbin who has been much better at home rather than away from home, but also had to pitch in, I believe it was the 12th inning in that game over the weekend, so he's just coming in a little bit of a fish out of water sort of situation for the campaign. 4.33 ERA for Patrick Corbin, not really blowing you away. 7.5 strikeouts, 2.9 walks per 9 innings, but again, with Texas, it's been playing much more pitcher-friendly in Arlington rather than when he has been away from home. For Mr. Patrick Corbin, he's posting up an ERA that is above a 5 when he's away from home. As a matter of fact, that is ballooned all the way up to a 5.31, and he's given up about 1.7 home runs per 9 innings at home, 0.8 home runs per 9 innings, 3.28 ERA. So with the Rangers, I'd be willing to lay up to a minus 142 on that money line, plus 144 better. Looking at the Twins, and then 8.5 or less in on the over 9 or higher. The under 925, 926 on the card. It is the Royals, and they are on the road. They're facing off against the LA Angels. Sam Algieri is on the bump for the Halos, and Cole Reagans goes for the Royals. Royals between minus 146 to minus 155 favorites, between plus 124 to a plus 130. That number on Los Angeles. 8.5 to 9 is the total. On the 8.5, the over is minus 120, the under is even. On the 9, the under is minus 122, and the over is plus 102. I did set the Royals on the money line at a minus 166. If you're looking to lay a run out with them, I'm willing to go up to a minus 104 there. Right now, we're finding that at about a plus 108 to a plus 110, so I'm going to be willing to dive in there for Cole Reagans. He spent about 3 months on the injured list, and I think the Royals very technically are still alive for the playoffs. Probably not going to be able to get there, but that said, for Reagan's first start out, 2 runs allowed in 3 2/3 innings, I think he could probably give you 4, maybe if you're lucky, 5 innings, but he should be doing for a little bit of positivity on that 5.16 ERA. He's been getting 13.8 strikeouts per 9 innings, 273 fielding dependent, and even in that first start out, he did get 4 strikeouts in the 3 1/3 innings and only gave up 1 hit. He gave up a pair of walks and just got a little bit unlucky there, but that said, he is backed up by a bullpen that is in the top 10 in terms of bullpen ERA. You do have Lucas Erceg currently on the injured list, but Daniel Lynch along with Carlos Aceves have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. You've been able to get some okay innings. John Schreiber, it's been a little bit up and down all around with him, but getting Steven Cruz off the injured list helps out this bullpen as well. And for the Royals, they've been a little bit better with their offense ever since the All-Star break. They're still a bottom 10 team in terms of run creation, but Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez, 31 and 30 home runs apiece. For Perez, just a 283 on base, but Pasquantino is able to about a 270. Bobby Witt Jr. doing it all, 37 stolen bags, 350 on base, 23 home runs. And then Miguel Garcia, under the radar, 350 on base, 16 home runs. He's been rock solid, but young guys just seem to be giving you a little bit more of something, as you've had the likes of Michael Massey, John Rave, Nick Lofton, throw in there Jack Caglione, all hitting a 230 or lower with not necessarily a ton of power. And on the other side of things for the LA Angels, very much an all or nothing lineup there in the bottom 5 of the big leagues in terms of on-base percentage, top 5 of the big leagues in terms of home runs on a per at-bat basis. Joe Adell setting fire to the rain with 36 home runs, but also setting fire to his on-base percentage at a 297. Taylor Ward, 220 batting average, 34 home runs. Even Mike Trout, he's got 22 home runs, and the 357 on base is pretty rock solid, but he's also been hitting about a 229 overall for the season. And then the young guys just have not necessarily been able to give you a whole heck of a lot, as you've got Oswald Peraza, Bryce Tecito, Christian Moore, a whole bunch of guys that are aiming for a 230 or lower. Gustavo Caminero, whenever they've had him out there, has not been able to give you too much of anything. So you've had some issues on that front with the Angels. You've also had issues with regards to bullpen as well. They're in the bottom 7 in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. You've got Brock and Roll Burke along with Kenley Jansen, both being able to supply a sub 325 ERA, but then you get into the likes of Ryan Zefrian, Jose Fermin, throw in there Jake Eater whenever he's gotten a few innings, Carson Fulmer, Connor Brogdon, all these guys that are posting up well above a 450 ERA, and I do think that the Royals should be able to get the job done in this ordeal, especially with a guy in El Degiri that I just don't think that he belongs at the big league level right now, and he did get a little bit of a cup of coffee at the big league level last year. He has seen 4 1/3 innings as far this season, so a very small sample size, but I mean, between the two campaigns, he has won 17 1/3 innings. He has given up at the big league level 19 runs in those 17 1/3 innings, and you just look at what he did at the minor league level. He just doesn't appear ready to be able to give you some good, consistent starts. At the minor league level, a 3.78 ERA, 4.1 walks, 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. Doesn't really give up too much of the deep ball, but do think that the Royals get to him relatively good here. I did set my total at an 8.9, so you're at the 8.5. I'm going to be in on the over, and I like the Royals on the run line. 927, 928 on the card. Houston Astros are on the road against the Athletics. Jeffrey Springs goes for the A's. Christian Javier is on the bump for the Astros. Astros find themselves between -104 to a -110, between -110 to a -114. That number on the Athletics, so relatively pick 'em game. Total on this game is 10. The over is -120. The under is even. Starting to see some 10.5s out there as well on the 10.5 over and under, both at -110. And I did set the Astros at a -137. I'm going to be willing to dive in here. It just goes back to the fact that the A's have just not played well in Sacramento this year. Really, nobody looks comfortable out there in Sacramento this year, but Jeffrey Springs, 4.17 ERA, career low of 7.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's given up 1.5 home runs per 9, but I mean, so much of his struggles have come back to the fact that when he's been at home, he has really not been effective whatsoever. When Jeffrey Springs has been on the road, he's been posting up a 3.45 ERA. On the road, he's given up about 1.1 home runs per 9 innings, and then when he's at home, he's given up closer to about 1.9 home runs per 9 innings. That ERA goes up to a 5, and for Christian Javier, he did not look too bad in his last start for the Astros. Now, the Astros just got completely line-based over the weekend against the Seattle Mariners, but that said, gave up 2 runs over the course of 6 innings against the Walker Texas Rangers. And for Javier, he does have a 4.45 ERA since coming off the injured list in his 7 starts, but he's not giving up the deep ball. 0.8 home runs allowed per 9 innings, 8.5 strikeouts, so about 3.9 walks per 9 innings. Needs to work on the walks, but the Astros do have the better bullpen in this ordeal as well, albeit they had to expend quite a few guys on Sunday Night Baseball, but getting that day off on Monday is going to be able to help out, as you've got the Bryans, Brian King, Brian Abreu, along with Steven Okert, who've been able to give you a sub 3.25 ERA. They might not have him available for this game, but AJ Bluebaugh, a long guy, has been able to give you about a 2 ERA as well. And for the Astros, the big thing is they have been a bottom 5 team in the big leagues in terms of run creation ever since the All-Star break. You do have Jose Altuve supplying 26 home runs. He's been consistent with a 330 on base. And then Christian Walker, Yanier Diaz are both providing power. Diaz, 19 home runs, Walker, 23 home runs, but Walker, 294 on base, 284 on base out of Diaz, despite the fact that he's got a 255 batting average. Getting back Isak Paredes is big. He had a home run over the weekend to be able to send him to 20 bombs, 355 on base, so that's a welcome addition for this team. And though Yordan Alvarez way down with regards to his power. He still move the line, give you about a 365 on base. And for the Athletics, you've got a quartet of guys who have been able to give you at least 23 home runs this season. Shea Langoliers, aka Shea Bangs, along with Nick Kurtz, Brent Rooker, and Tyler Soderstrom are all there. And Soderstrom is up to about a 350 on base. Rooker's hitting at 265. And then Shea Langoliers has been able to about a 259. And Jacob Wilson, he doesn't draw a lot of walks, but he continues to hit about a 315 for this team. So you've got a lot of guys there that are doing their part. Now, the big thing is that the bottom of the lineup just has been full of guys that haven't necessarily been that great for the team. Max Schumann, JJ Bleday hitting below a 220, and then William McIver, the catcher spot in general, has been a little bit rough for this team. So that's been a little bit, shall we say, wishy-washy for them. That said, for the Athletics, I really think the big issue for this team is their bullpen, as you've got so many guys that are posting up a north of 4 ERA. Michael Kelly along Sean Newcomb have been able to do a relatively solid job of holding down the fort, but then you get into the likes of Tyler Ferguson. They had to throw him out there for a start a few days ago, but Mitch Spence, Osvaldo Bido, a lot of guys that are posting up an ERA above a 5. Scott McGough has not been great for this team as well, so interesting little bit of a circumstance here. I did set the Astros at a minus 137. I like them on the money line. Made my total 9.8, so I also like the under, and wrap things up with 929, 930 on the card. It is the Rockies on the road against the Seattle Mariners. To be determined is on the bump for the Seattle Mariners. To be determined is on the bump for the Rockies, so this game is completely off the board, but unless if like a meteor strikes, I'm probably not going to be taking the Rockies on the money line. It is expected to be McCade Brown going against Bryce Miller, and if that's the case, I'd be willing to go up to like a minus 155, minus 160 on the Mariners. I set their money line at a minus 338, plus 339 or better looking at the Rockies, and then made a total of a 8 or less to the over, 8.5 prior to the under, and even if we don't get these starters, it's probably not going to vary too much because Bryce Miller has not necessarily had the world's greatest season for the Seattle Mariners. I doubt whoever they'd be throwing would be much of an upgrade. I think that they're probably strategizing for what is going to be a big final series of the season because they should be able to get the job done here, as Miller, 5.58 ERA, 5.14 fielding independent, but he gets to go up against Colorado Rockies team that's dead sinking last in the big leagues in terms of run creation away from home, and where the Colorado Rockies are averaging about like 2.8 runs per game away from home this far this season. Hunter Goodman has been rock solid. He's been able to give the team 30 home runs this far this season, and 17 plus of those home runs have come away from home. But you've got so many guys that have been very productive when they've been at Coors Field, not be so productive when they've been away from home this far this season, as you've got the likes of Jordan Beck, Orlando Arcia, Young Keel Fernandez, throwing there Blaine Krim, Ezekiel Tovar, all these guys hitting below a 220 when they're away from home. Mickey Moniak is up to a 229, but a 255 on base, and with the Rockies, second worst bullpen in terms of ERA in the big league. So even if you're not throwing out there McCade Brown, who has been terrible, by the way, why this guy got sent up to the big league level, I have no idea. He, in his 5 total appearances, 9.17 ERA, he's went just 17 and 2/3 innings, so he's not lending a lot of length. He has been giving up a whole bunch of walks in this time span as well, 13 walks in 17 and 2/3 innings as well. He's just getting completely a little bit lazy. I've been trying to throw out there Ronisy Contreras is a bit of a long guy. He's got an ERA well above a 5.5 this far this season. And then the likes of Nick Anderson, Antonio Senzatella has now been coming out of the bullpen. Seth Alverson, when he's been healthy, as he's a little bit banged up. All these guys providing north of a 4.95 ERA has been just a big giant issue. And for the Seattle Mariners, you've got the likes of Matt Brash, Andres Munoz, Gabe Spire, Edward Bizarro, who've been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. And for the Seattle Mariners, the lineup has been all sorts of lethal, albeit they hit much better away from home rather than at home because Seattle just one of the most pitcher-friendly ballparks you're going to find in all of baseball. 5.1 runs per game away from home is number 3 in all of baseball, compared to about 4.35 runs per game at home. But you've got Big Dumper Cal Raleigh, 57 plus home runs this far this season. He's been able to supply over a 350 on base. And Eugenio Suarez, since getting to Seattle, he's got a batting average below 200, but he continues to supply the boom. He's got over 45 home runs this season, but you've got a lot of guys around him that have been able to move the line, get on base. Tom Canzone, 353 on base. He actually had a 3 home run game about 2 or so weeks ago. You've got JP Crawford give you about a 355 on base. Randy Arozarena, 333 on base with 27 home runs. Julio Rodriguez hitting at 270 with 31 home runs. So I do think that you're going to get nice, clean domination here for the Mariners, pretty much like a minus 160 or better. I'm going to be looking at their run line. I would need more than a plus 335 to take a shot on the Rockies, and I can tell you right now I'm going to land on the Mariners. And if we do indeed get Brown versus Miller, 8 or less to the over, 8.5 prior to the under, even even if we see a change of pitchers, probably will be looking somewhere in that neighborhood as well, but I will update that on the old spreadsheet on my old Twitter/X feed at @GUnit_D1 if we do have any changes, and that will wrap things up for the Tuesday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Big thanks to Chris Cichon. He does such great work over at WBAL in Baltimore. He joined me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of two ways to be able to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at GUnit_81. Keep in mind, letters they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. And I'm with you guys every single day on this podcast during the regular season into the postseason, so I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.
Did I put the clothes in the dryer? I hope they don't think I was
I need to
serious
be
about
awake.
snacks.
I have my brain shut
Just
off.
sleep already.
When your racing thoughts keep you up at night, it's tough to let go and get the rest you need. Better sleep can help. You might have heard of white or brown noise. There's a whole rainbow of color noises, and they can help you calm your mind, reduce stress, and sleep better, like the green noise you're listening to now. With the Better Sleep app, you can discover more color noises and over 200 soothing sounds, guided meditations, and bedtime stories. High-quality rest is vital to your mental well-being and physical health. Calm your restless mind, conquer your day, and sleep better at night. Download Better Sleep from the App Store or Google Play and start a 7-day trial today. Because when you sleep better, you feel better.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F-words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic.
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/zip to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. Finally, that's ZipRecruiter.com/zip.